Hi everyone, welcome back to my basic Fire tutorial series. Now we are in the module 3, Fire Conformance. My name is Rat Panjawat. This video series was created for the Master Program in Data Science for Healthcare and Medical Informatics at Ramatibadi Hospital, Mahidol University. This is about me and here is my contact channels. Now we are in the last session of the module 3. We are talking about profiling. Let's recap a little bit. Why do we need profiling? Because Fire was designed to use in different contexts in general. So the best resource that Fire design will be general purpose use. To use it in particular context, like in real implementation, we need to customize it to support our context. Here is an example of a resource. In the resource, maybe they have several elements, right? Maybe some element doesn't meet our need. Maybe we don't want it, or maybe we want to customize some of it, and maybe we want to add some element into our resource. This is called profiling. So when we read a profile, there will be two views, differential view and snapshot view. Okay, let's see the real profile by seeing this US core. If we go to a patient profile, we will see that there is a text summary of that profile and there is a differential table. This is telling us what is the difference between this profile and the base resource. And here is the snapshot table. It will include the one that is in the base resource and the one in this profile. So it will include everything in that profile. If you remember, even the base profile was defined with structure definition, right? And the extension also defined with structure definition. And here as well, profile also was defined with structure definition. Okay, I will show you here. This one, like this. What I want to show you is that even with this one, the differential table and the snapshot table, they are from the structure definition. So I think here, so this is the differential object, and I think, and here is the snapshot object, snapshot element and differential element. So inside it, in this will contain all element, and in this will contain only the differential. So what being customized in the structure definition reflect in this page that you are viewing, and actually it serves different purpose. Differential table is more like for human to read it and understand it easily. Oh, what is the change? But snapshot table is more like for the machine to process everything inside that resource. So in summary, when you're viewing the profile, you can see two view, differential view or snapshot view. And even you are viewing the profile in simplifier.net like this. You will see the same thing. This one is differential view. In simplifier, they also have the hybrid, and snapshot is everything like this. So this is how to read a profile. Profile can be created by constraining core resource or other profile. What does it mean? Let's say that this is the FHIR-based patient resource. When you want to create a profile, it means that you add constraints to this base resource or base profile to make it more specific for your use case, right? So in each country, there might be an organization that's responsible for creating a national profile in that country. They may constrain the base profile to be the national profile, uh, like a US core that add constraint to the base profile and add some extension to meet the need of information exchange in the US. And there is Dutch profile, and in the future maybe we have Thai core profile. And from that US core, an organization in the US, they might add some more constraint into this profile to make it more specific to their use case. Like maybe Mayo Clinic add some constraint here to be their Mayo Clinic profile, something like that. Other organizations work the same way. You add more constraint to make it more specific to a use case. Just a bit recap that in the real implementation, you usually do not use only a few profile, but you will use quite a lot of profile. And you might need other things as well. That is not just a profile, you need extension, terminology, and other things. All of this, we can call it FHIR artifact. When you pack all of this into a single package, so that the one who want to implement your profiles and other things for the particular context can be easily implemented. So this is called implementation guide. And in the real world, most national profile or national project or a large project, they always publish as an implementation guide. Same as extensions and terminology, right? Some profiles were defined as part of FHIR as well. If you came here and you go to here, profile tab, you will see a list of profile that came with FHIR core, so that you can use in many situations. Or you can go to resource here, and then you can go here. You will see a profile as well. Oh, no profile in this resource. Okay. I think observation must have, right? Here is profile in observation resource for body height, vital sign things. Yeah. So that are profiles that came with FHIR. And there are also a profile that defined by others as well. Like I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of national IGs, the US core, UK core, AU, NL, and other countries. International patient summary is for exchanging the patient summary between country, and some profiles may be designed for specific purpose, like the Da Vinci. This one is for value-based care payment in the US, or Carin. This one is for consumer direct exchange health information. You can visit them and see, oh, they have defined a lot of profile and extension things, and it's useful to look at them. Okay, so that is introduction to profiling. Now is the theory on how to start profiling. And after we talk about some concept, there will be a demo. I will show you how to create a profile with Forge, the same program that I used when I create an extension last session. Okay, so first, what can we customize? You can divide it into two groups. The first one is extending and restricting the API. The second is extending and restricting the resources. So what can you do with API? You can limit the REST interaction, the user to get the resource, but you don't want them to post any resource to your server. Or you want to customize in the resource specific level, like you want the patient resource can be read, but the encounter resource cannot be read, something like that. Custom operation is, because in this whole series, I haven't talked about operations that much. You might remember it from an earlier session that I show you how to use the terminology operation. But actually there are a lot of other operations, and you can create your own custom operation as well. Same as the search parameter. You remember about here there are search parameter for each resource, and also the search parameter for all resource, right? Actually, we can define our own search parameter. Like maybe you want to search with the word rat, for example. So you can define your own search parameter, and it's necessary when you create an extension, because you will not be able to search the resource with an extension if you don't define the search parameter for that extension. So that is search parameter. And you can even add content type, because now when you want to post a resource to a file server, you have to have this content type, right? File plus JSON or XML or RDF. But actually you can even define additional content type from the file spec here. It said that you can read or update an appointment resource with the vCard format. So that is additional content type. Okay, the next one is extending and restricting resources. And this one is thing that you do on the structure definition. So I will go on all of these one by one. And there are the last thing that is slicing, that is applying all of this into an element that is repeatable. I will show you all of this. And one rule to remember is anything that you want to do with your profile, it can have conflicts with the original resource or profile that the new profile you are creating was based from. It's like you taking something and constrain it, and you cannot make it bigger than the original one. So that is the concept. And limitations of profiling. Profiles cannot break the rules that established in the base specification. Number 2, profiles cannot specify default value. It can fix the value, but it cannot specify the default value. What do I mean? Let's say we are in the patient. You cannot say something like default birth date for all patient is yesterday, something like that. You cannot do it, but you can fix the value to yesterday. So if you fix the value, the user cannot change, right? But you cannot set the default value like okay, set it yesterday and the user can change it to any day. That is not possible. And third, profile cannot change name of elements. Let's say that, for example, gender, you want to change it to my gender, something like that. You cannot change. And profiles cannot add new elements. It can only add extensions. So there is a place where you can add extension right here for the resource and for each element, but you cannot like photo and signature. Here you cannot do something like that. And the last one is must be safe to process a resource without knowing the profile. So let's say that there is a resource instance from this resource and it claims that it conform to particular profile and it was sent to me. I am a file server. If I don't know the definition of its profile at all, it still should be safe to process this resource. So yeah, it should be safe to process without knowing the profile. Here is the example of profiling from the US Corporation, and you can add extension to profile. You can change the cardinality, and you can change the value set binding, and you can change the string. Yeah, okay. So now we will talk about this 6 or 7 customization and then slicing. The first one is changing cardinality. Profile can put further constraint to a base resource or profile. So we see that this is the patient profile, right? And this is the US core profile. What is constraining? Constraining is making an optional element to be required or making an element that can have multiple value to be only a specific value. So let's say that here in the US core, from identifier is not required and it can have many. Now it constrains it to be required element, name as well, system as well, right? So the rule is that it must be further constrained. It cannot expand. So what do I mean? No, this row is a base and this column is a derived profile. So if the base profile is 0 to 1, can you change it to 0 to 0? Yes, because you change it from 1 element to 0 element, you cut it off. 0 to 1, yes, because it's the same. From 0 to 1 to 0 to many, of course, no, because you are adding an element here. That is not possible. 0 to 1 to 1 to 1, yes, because you require an element here. 0 to 1, 1 to n, no, because from one element to n element, that is not possible. Let's say that in the base is 1 to 1 to 1. You cannot make a required element and cut it off entirely, right? So it's not possible. Yeah, require to be optional, no. Require to be optional, no. Require has to be required. And can you add any more element here? No, because it forces you to have only one element. So that is the concept. And so for this one too many is pretty the same, right, for this column. And because this one too many, you want to constrain it to 1 to 1, it's constraining it, so it's possible. But you want to change and this one is the same thing, to n to many. How about this? 0 to many? Yes, basically this one is the most flexible and you can change it to anything, right? Because no matter what you do, it will constrain it. Okay. Second customization, fixed value. Let's say that there are some element that you want it to have this value. It cannot have other value. So you can do it. So that's it, fixed value. And you can fix it no matter it's the simple or complex element. You can fix anything. The third one is limiting data type. For some element, if you remember, like this one, when it has the X symbol here, it means that It can be any data type in this element. You can limit the data type, like, okay, I don't want this many, I just want these 3 data type, so I can do that. Next one is changing value set binding. About this value set binding thing, you can change 2 things. The first is changing binding strength. This one is also can only increase the strength. You cannot make it looser. Let's say that you want to keep the same binding strength. You can change the value set entirely. But the rule is that if you change the value set, the code in there still have to be valid in the base profile. Let's say that the base profile is required. Even though you change the value set to something else, and the code in that value set is not valid in the base profile, so that is not valid. Here is the example of binding. Here is the rule about changing binding strength. So the base is in this row again, and derived is in the column. So you can only increase the strength, you cannot lose it. So require, change to require is not changing, right? Extensible to be required, yes. Prefer to require, yes. Example to require, yes. So from that rule, any strength can become required because you are constraining it. But on the contrary, require must be required. You cannot change from require to be example. So that is the rule about binding string. Adding extensions, profile can specify extension. If you remember from our last session, we talking about creating extension. Now, in the profile, you can add the extension that you create into the profile, or you can bring an extension that already exists in Fire, or extensions that other people create. You can bring that and include into a profiles that you create. Custom constraints. Yeah, this one I didn't talk about it that much as well. But if you remember, let's say that we are in the patient resource, there will be some element that has this line, rule, thing, or only one. Yeah, but it's here, the constraint. I would say most resource will have constraint as well. And when you create a profiles, you can create your own custom constraint. And the last thing that you can customize in the structure definition is the must support element. This one, H symbol here. It means that anyone that implement this profile have to support this element, the elements that has this must support flag with it. What is support? It's totally up to you, the one who create that profile, to define and to agree with the one who you are exchanging information. Example of support is like able to store and retrieve the element, or this element must be displayed in the UI, or it must be in the output report, yeah, etc. The next topic is slicing. Slicing is splitting a repeatable element into a sublist and apply a constraint to each sublist. Confused, right? But you will understand when you see an example. So, for example, in a telecom element, let's say that we want to require one phone number and one email address, or we want to require one contact. It can be phone or email address. Or you want one word or home phone number, but not allow other methods. So from this requirement, can we achieve it with constraining a cardinality? How can we constrain a telecom to have one phone number and one email address. Yeah, maybe we can fix the value here in the system element to be phone or to be email. But how do you fix the value differently for each element inside one element like this? So that is when slicing come, because you have to slice this telecom thing into two telecom element and then apply different constraint to each element. So that is slicing. Here in the patient, it has telecom system thing. You have to split it into phone and email like this and apply different fixed value for each sub-element. So how to create slice? There are these things that you can configure when you create a slice. Where does this came from? So let's say you are in this page and okay, maybe you click here, Boolean. You will see this data type page and you will see this element definition. This element definition is the definition of each element inside a structure definition. And you will see this slicing thing here. Yeah, this is where this slicing image came from. And this is quite I think it's a bit advanced topic, so I will not go in detail here. But what I want to say with you is that these are the things that you can configure. So discriminator, this one is for specifying how to discriminate each slice. How can we know that this slice is a phone, this is another slice? So we use this discriminator element to do that. Order, this is a Boolean. If it's true, it means that an order of element is important. It must start with phone and then email. You cannot email and then phone. It will fail the validation. Rule is that if it's closed, you cannot add anything into the slice. Let's say that it's a telecom slice and you require one phone and one email and you close it. The rule is this slice is closed. So you cannot add other thing like a phone to or another method. Yeah, so that is closed. Open is you can add more slice here, and open at end is that you can add only at the end. You cannot like add it between phone and email. So come back to this discriminator a bit. Type, discriminator type is the way that you want to use for discriminating element, and there are 5 types. I would say value is the most common. Actually, it's even the only value that I ever use, but I know many people also use pattern for discriminator as well. And from the spec and from what I read it from the internet, it seems like pattern is more suitable for codable concept. But I think for the beginning, I think discrimination by value might be the good starting point. And the second element here is path, is the location of the element. This is a little bit confused. When you see the real slicing, you will understand. So slice by value example, let's say that we want one phone number and one email address. So this phone and email is in this system element, right? So we will use this value of this element to distinguish between two contact point elements, because these two have one thing that they are different, that is the system. So we use the value of the system as a discriminator. And what if we want to discriminate by type of contact as well, like a home phone, work phone, temporary phone? my mouse is here, so maybe you can guess. Yes, we have to add use as a second discriminator. And the type of that discriminator is the value as well, because we want to discriminate element with two value. One is value from system and another one is value of use element. So this is how setting discriminator type as value works. And path. What is the path? Actually, it's a file path expression. File path is another language. If you go here, you will see this file path, and this file path will redirect you to the real standard of file path. Yeah, it's a navigation and extraction language. Yeah, it's a different standard than Fire, but it quite complement each other and it used together with Fire. Actually, when we look at each resource here, if you go to the description or the viewing the structure definition directly, you will see that there is an element ID like this. And if you go to this one, search parameter, this one, expression, postal code, this is a path, and I think it's a file path. Yeah, I think this is a file path as well. So yeah, basically that is what path is about. When you want to discriminate an element, let's say that from the previous example, you want to discriminate by value of a system, right? So you have to specify the path of the system, and the path is relative to that parent. So the parent is patient.telecom, then the path here will be system, like this. This is what it looks like in the real structure definition in the telecom element that is being sliced. So you don't need to create this by hand because we are going to use Forge, but this is what Forge will generate for you. It will look like this. So the element, right, the path value, what I want you to focus is this discriminator element, and the type of discriminator is value and the path is system. As I explained it to you in earlier slide. And when you do slicing, when you are slicing, you select this matter thing to be two sub-elements. The first one is for the phone and the second one is for the email. Both of them discriminated by the value of the system here. The first slice use phone as a system. The second slide use email as a system. So this is how it works for the discriminator type as value. And those are more things that you can customize with Fire Profile. When you finish your profiling, you will get the structure definition resource. You post that structure definition to a server, and when you want to claim that your resource instance conform to that profile, you have to specify here in this profile tag from the meta element. This one is from US Core. Interesting thing is that they add an extension to the meta element. Yeah, it's different to adding extension here to the base resource. It's just something I just noticed. Yeah. So profile here is the child of meta. How does this come from? Patient, domain resource, and Domain resource doesn't have meta, right? Because it's here meta element in the base resource. Yeah, and because meta is an element, so that it can have extension in this element as well, like this. All right, now is demo time. We will create a ready patient profile with the following constraint. Identifier, we will use national ID and MRN, and for these two are required, and passport is optional. No other identifiers allowed, and we will require this element, and all of this must be support. We will change the data type of disease. We will limit the data type of disease element, and we will change the binding strength, and we will add the default clinic extension from our last session, and we will also add birth time and nationality from the file extension registry. After all of this, we will send the structure definition to the server, and we will create a resource instance, and we will try to validate it. But I haven't talked about validate yet, so that will be later. To create a profile, we still use Forge for create a profile. It's the same tool as when we creating an extension. So here I will open the folder. Yeah. This one is the default clinic from our last session. So for today, we will create a new profile, and the profile name will be ready patient, right? And the type will be patient. Oh, it changed. Ready patient. I think it will change automatically. Okay, file name. And canonical URL, I think maybe last hospital. Okay. So now we are in the base profile. What do we have to do? Let's switch here. So we have to slice the identifier into 3 things. So we click slice here, and then we will discriminate by value, and the path is we have to see this one as well. So here identifier, there is use, type, and system. I think using system is enough. Yeah. Because each of them will have different system for sure. Yeah, I think system is enough. So yeah, identifier system. And then add slice. The first line name is national ID. Okay, I will add more slice first. The second one is MRN. The last one is passport. This one optional. this one require, this one require, and we have to fix value for all of them for the system. Yeah, actually you can even fix more things. Okay, we have free identifier, national ID, MRN, and also the passport. For the national ID, because we are in Thailand, I think let's say that the Ministry of Interior is in charge of this. Yeah, if you work with the real project, you have to work with them what URL exactly you want to use. Let's say that like this. So MIN is our hospital, and passport is, I think is, okay, so this is the URL of the organization that issue a passport in Thailand. Okay, maybe this one. Okay, this is the system of identifier. So I will switch to this one. The first one, system. We have to fix value here, and I will require this, and I will require the value as well. The second one is this. If you want, actually you can even fix the code of the type here. If you remember identifier type, there is this one, and use it from this code system. Yeah, it will help interoperability between this profile and other. So fixed value for MRN, and value I want it to require. Oh, I forget to require this. And the last one, I want to fix the system here to be this one. All right. The next one is name, gender, birth date. Name, make it require. Gender and birth date. All of this must be support. So must support here. Gender must support. Name must support. I will even require these two as well. Family and given. Right. Allow only Boolean. Okay. So deceased. Oh, I accidentally, this one. Okay, this one is wrong. Let's say that I don't want the people to put the telecom here. I want to remove it. Then I can use this 0 to 0, and it will remove from this profile. Okay, deceased X. They have two data type. I want Boolean. So yeah. And change binding strength of marital status here. Now is binding to here. Now is binding to this value set with this extensible string. I will change it to require. and I can even change the value set reference if I want, but it must not conflict with the base resource that I am constraining. Add the default clinic extension, add birth time and nationality. Okay. We came here, resource and patient and extension. You will see that there is birth time that can add to a birth date and nationality like this. If you came here, you can get the structure definition of it. You can maybe just save as, I think, or copy and paste, doesn't matter. So I already download it into the folder here. If you put it in the folder, if you just download it and put it in the folder, maybe you have to close and reload. Yeah, probably. So, and in the folder already has the extension we create from the last session. So it's okay. Birth date, I will extend it here. And here I want it to be birth time. Yeah, birth time is enough. Value, I don't have to config anything, I think. Yeah. And we have to go to the base resource and extend the RUT default clinic. Yeah. So it's the clinic. And if you go into this value X, you will see that it's a codable concept that was already bind to the value set we defined in the last session. Because we included into our profile here, so everything in that extension will also came here. Because in that extension, we bound it to value set. Yeah. So next is nationality. Change the slide name to be nationality. Okay. And inside nationality, we have another two extension. This one is codable concept. This one is period. I think we already finish everything, and we save it here. I can save it to JSON actually, but it's okay. XML is XML. So it's RUT patient. I feel like I might forget something, but I don't remember. This is an XML, the structure definition that we create a moment ago. For now, I already has the Happy Fire server running on my machine. I will send this to my Happy Fire like this. Post like other resource, and then don't forget to change it to XML and send. Done. I will copy it in case I need it. So this is our profile for ready patient. And create a resource instance. All right, so I think I will switch it here. This one is patient example. I will quickly grab everything and put it here and JSON and identifier. We need this one doesn't need. Okay, this one name only have one name. Telecom we doesn't need at all. Gender we need gender, birth date, and it's already have the birth time extension already. This is boolean false. Address we don't have. Contact we don't have. This one we don't have. But in the profile, I think we need my marital status. It doesn't require. Actually, we don't need to put it. But to make it more complete, and it's a quotable concept with this thing. So quotable concept. System code. I forget what it called. I think text. Yeah, text. I think it's different. Yeah. I think we don't need it. Yeah, code and we can use display here for the texting. And okay, let's say this guy is guy or girl, I'm not sure. Mary, and the code is here. And the system is this one. Yeah. Okay, let's say that we don't change anything. Maybe the patient name is given name Joseph, family Dodo. Use doesn't need. All right. System we have 3 system. Second is this one. Third is this one. And the value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and maybe this one. Support maybe this one. Okay. Extension, because we have 2 extension, right? Inside extension here, extension is 0 to many, and inside extension is URL and value X. So we have 2 extension, right? And for each extension we need URL and value X. Like this. Just I will put just a placeholder here. So the first one is nationality and default clinic. Okay, so default clinic. This one. So the profile is here. This one is the extension. I don't remember the structure of that default clinic. Default clinic is okay codable concept with this that thing. So, and the URL is here. Yeah, I forget to change the name, the URL last time. And this one is here. So this one is codable concept. And inside codable concept, this must be here. And same as always for codable concept. Coding. And inside coding is here. And inside is system and code. I have prepared this. The value set that I sent to the server last time is this one. So the code is Raspberry Service 2, and the code, the system is here, and the code is maybe this guy. Like this. Okay. Now the nationality. I think I can copy here and then press here. Yeah, this is the good thing when you paste when you go to the URL of the profile or extension or anything, you get the structure definition. You can get the structure definition of that profile. So wrong. Okay, here is a codable concept and period. Is an extension, full structure with sub extension. So the value here has to be extension. This one will be this one, and there are two sub extension here, and in each extension we have URL, right? And URL we have value x, like this. Actually, I just noticed that this is a period, nationality period. Maybe I don't want it. I want just the text and the code, which where does the patient, what is the nationality of the patient. So it's codable concept. And I think it's here, national code. Yeah, country code. Yeah, I think it's this one. Look here. You see that the system is here. Yeah, so I'll use this for set here, and then no, it has to be this one. Oh no, so it has to be this one. Inside this is coding, which is an array inside, and this one system, this one. Okay, code. Let's let's say it's Thai patient. Yeah, share. And the URL here is URL here, and the URL here is that code, because it's relative to this base extension URL. Okay, I think it's finished. I validate and it's valid JSON. If I came here and I change to this one here and post to this post, yeah, done. I got the new patient created. All right, so that is the demo how to profiling a patient resource and create a resource instance and send it to a server. Now we will talk about validating, and we will validate it. So validating resources is validating a resource against a specific profile, maybe a base file resource or maybe a profile that you create. And there are several aspects of validation. Validating a structure, a cardinality, a value if it's a correct type, and terminology binding. If the code you use in your resource is really from the value set you are binding, validating any violating of the invariance and conforming to a profile and question and business rules. Two important thing is the resource instance must include the profile tag in the resource.meta. Oh, I completely forgot to include the profile tag here. So came back here a bit, and yeah, meta. Oh, okay. So it has to be meta. And what is the structure of the meta? Yeah. So okay, so this is structure of the meta. So we have to put it here, and inside that is a URL. So like this. So what is the URL of this resource? Okay, so URL is this one, canonical URL. So put it here. All right. Here, update it a bit. Send, done. Okay. Oh, it's not meta, it's profile. Okay. Put it here. Put it here. Okay. Conform to this profile. Okay. Okay, come back to this slide. First, we have to include the profile tag in the resource.meta, which we just did it a moment ago. And second, most servers require the profile to be hosted on the server. In our case, we already post the structure definition a moment ago as well. And in Fire, if you read this page, you will find a lot of validation method. You can use XML schema, schematron, and Fire validator, and it's a Java program, and validation operation. Each of these support different aspects of validation, and no one support the business rule because it's a business rule that is not and it's not programmatically validated. we have to validate with like a business people. These two, file validator and validation operation, these two can help you validate all aspects of the resource. So my focus for today will use validation operations. And here's some note, you can read more here. And how to do the validation operation, the syntax is here is pretty basic. Just post and put the validate operation and specify a profile and done. Two things to note is that the server can only validate the profiles that already host on the server, which for our case is already host, right? And some server might not support a validation operation like this, or maybe it support at different level. And another way to validate is validate all incoming requests by configuring the server to validate. And if you want to do this in Happy Fire, you go here all the way to the app property.java and change this to true. And if you do this, when you do anything with the server, let's say that post and patient like this, it will validate your resource instance before it accepts that instance to the server. So I will demo. Okay, so let's demo from previous example. Let's say that we want to send this. Let's remove this. Okay. And we want to post as a new resource. Okay. So we specify a profile here and then we send. Yeah. And then we got the result of validation. So if we copy it here, and then maybe we see it. This one is just information. Yeah. This one is warning. This one is warning. So this one is warning. This one is error. Error. So I think I might configure the value set incorrect. Yeah. This one use this and another one use this. So it must be, yeah, I think inside this extension it might buy two different value set than what I expect. Yeah, so cannot use a value set. Okay, I think this one has problem. Best service. Okay. So value set, this is system. I have to use system here. This is patient resource. This one fixed. Okay. Let's try validate again. I think it can remove some error. Send. Okay. So now we only have one error left. Coding. None of the coding provides are in the value set. Why it said it's not in the value set? Code. What is my code? Can we change it here? Coding. Yeah, why? I don't know why. Why does it point to this URL? Yeah, I think it is the problem inside the extension. Yeah, but I think we can try to fix it, but I think it doesn't matter. What I want to show you is that it can validate against a profile. Yeah, this is how validate. This is how to validate against a profile. So if you don't validate and you just post this resource, yeah, it will create. But if you go here, this happy, and you say validation, yeah, and you change it to true like this, and you okay, I will restart my happy file server. If you come here and you try to post, it can generate because it's just a warning. Okay, let's say that we intentional wrong again. And I do here. It doesn't matter. All this. Intentional wrong, and we post it here, and then I send to server, and it will got 422. Even though this is I trying to create a resource, this is validation or incoming resource. If we go here, let's see. Yeah, this is the error that we create a moment ago. And that is all for today. Yeah, profiling is a bit complicated. I wouldn't say I'm an expert as well. Many discriminator type, I would say I don't understand it well also. So, but if you have any question, feel free to ask me. I will try my best to answer. And this is my last video for this video series. I don't know when I would have a chance to create a video series like this again. Thank you very much for attending the whole series until now. Bye bye.